Hey everyone, Michelle here at Cedar Studios. Welcome back if you've been here before, but howdy if you're new. And today we're going to be working on book sleeve covers. I have 3 different sizes in our new fall colors that'll be offered on our Etsy shop. But mine have a little secret, and I want to share the secret with you. I think it makes them stand out of all the book sleeves that are available out there. So let's get going. I'm starting the day with my favorite pecan granola. This is a recipe that I've honed after many years. I love how it stays crispy and crunchy and clumpy, if that's a word. But it makes a great snack and everything. If you guys are interested in the recipe, I can link it below. But nothing like starting a crafting day off on the right foot. Here are my fabrics. This is what I've used for my fall collection. I shared these with you at the end of my last video. They are so pretty together. You're going to see that I end up combining them many times. I keep changing my mind. I love this coffee print. I'm going to make a tote bag and anything else I can make out of it. But this fabric I chose to remove from the collection. It just didn't quite match, but it definitely looks like a Christmas gift pattern. It just has all those rich colors of Christmas, so I like that idea. And here is my final one that I want to make book sleeves out of and a laptop cover. And I thought that pattern behind it went really well with it. So I wanted to take you through all these fabrics because they're all so beautiful, and I finally got them all paired. That took me about, 45 minutes to do. So they're so pretty all together, but I wanted to get the best looking pairs together. So I'm going to start here with the pinks, or the mauve-y rosy colors. A more solid mauve color with a cute little print. Those go really well together. This one I wanted to have a lighter color inside because it's a very busy pattern, and it just sort of calms it down. I thought that was gorgeous. These two are so pretty together. They just, they just work. Next we have just a lovely little rose print with a large rose print, so they go together in that way. The tones match really well. That's what I was going for. I have to excuse my cutting table. I've had it for years and years, and my kids cut on it, and they painted on it, and I have tried to get all that out, but it is well used and well loved, and it still works, so I'm keeping it. This next group is a large, sort of a red poppy almost, it looks like, and I paired it with a large print inside, but the tones go together. You've got this mauve, off-white tone that goes with the creamy off-white of this fabric. I thought that one would make a really pretty tote bag because of the larger print, and even a laptop sleeve. Next we have a really cute print. It's a little tiny pink rose. It's got a little bit of a peach tone to it, so I thought that one went with it very well. And this is the one I had asked you guys about. Do you think I should include this Holly Hobby print? And I couldn't find a liner or a pairing to go with it, but these two do really well. And so somehow I thought I'd combine these 3, and that would make it more cohesive with the whole grouping of fabrics that I have. Moving over here to the blues and browns. These are the homespun fabrics that I've had in my collection for a while. Those two are so pretty. I love blue fabrics, especially when you find a really nice, rich colored blue. Next, I wanted to take this plaid, which just leans more toward a Scottish plaid, even though it's not actually, but it just sort of, to me, it gives that look. But look at how it softens up with this pretty floral.
I love the tone-on-tone look of these off-white fabrics, creamy fabrics, but look how pretty that is together. And I didn't have this one the other day when I showed you, and I found it later on in my stash. Look how pretty that is with this plaid. Oh my gosh. It just goes so well together with it. I love that together. And next I have, oh, look at that. I had this mixed up with the green plaid I just had. This one I think can go with my coffee themed print. That goes really well. Look at that. Because the next two are these gorgeous colors together. Oh my gosh. I might have to keep this one. It's so pretty. I just love the combination. It's unusual, but really pretty. You know, you've got the peach and the green. It's sort of a pinky peach. And this one is the same. It's kind of in that family of peach and green together. Look how pretty that is. Next I'm moving towards a warmer, like a, not red, but it's sort of a, in that tone, but warmer. Another couple that I've had in my stash for a while. Those are so pretty together. And there's that purple. It's a very deep purple. I don't know if it's coming on the camera that, I don't know if it's coming across on the camera that way, but it's a really pretty one. And this one just happened to go perfectly with it. That one is really hard to see the design on camera, but it's really sort of a mottled, I don't know how you say that clearly, but it goes well with the light color in this flower here, so that goes well together. And we're almost finished. These are gorgeous together. This homespun rusty red and sort of a tan, and it goes so perfectly with this background. It's got a tiny bit of the reddish color in it too. These last two in this family is obviously a beautiful fall leaf print, and I thought it went really pretty with that together. That just, I don't know why. That combination was really cute. And my last one is this rusty with a little bit of teal in it. I like that. And it goes with this one really well. This sort of whimsical design of these flowers and the whimsical look of this off-white print. And I showed you the coffee one. That goes really well together. I'm stunned. I didn't even catch that earlier. You saw it with me on camera first. And here's one that I was telling you about I'd love to make just to have something fun if a guy or a girl. I know I love barbecue and I would like to have this one as well. But this print was so cute. And I just happened to have leftover fabric from some pillows that I had made for my son. It was a cowboy print and it's just so perfect together. Look at that. This was what the print looked like on the pillows. This is what was left on the edging. I don't think I can use the words. They've been cut apart. But how cute was that? I love that. Maybe I can work that into the, like into a pocket or something. I really like that. So those are my fall colors for this upcoming fall season. I hope you enjoyed seeing all of them, and I can't wait to show you how they're all going to go together. And I have a lot of work to do.
So being a homemaker and a YouTuber, they often coincide. So while I'm working on all those bags, I am making some bread. And do I do this often? No. But because I happen to be able to be at home and work on this at the same time, I thought I'd get that going and let it rise while we start our sewing projects. As with most projects, once you've washed the fabric, it needs to be ironed. I want to get all the creases because that changes your measurements once you cut something out. And if you cut it out while there's a crease in it, you're going to end up with a piece of fabric that is the wrong shape when you iron it out. So that's when I'm going to go through and iron all the fabrics first and see what I have. Most of my fabrics were used for another project at one time, so being able to use up the whole piece of fabric is really awesome. I hate throwing away fabric for any reason, and I think it's just more responsible that way. And so you can see I need to figure out what's going to fit on each piece. So if I were to price these book sleeves according to the amount of time I spent on them, they would be astronomical. So I am going to take my time, though, figuring out what's going to be the best product for each piece of fabric. And I end up with a really good combination of all the sizes in several different colors, but each one of them will be special. So when I was literally in 4th grade, a friend of mine had a book cover made out of fabric. And I can remember thinking that was just the coolest thing. I thought it was just so pretty, and then you could carry your books in it. I was and am a big reader, and to have that protecting your favorite book, because I know as a kid I didn't take care of my my paperbacks. They were always bent, or the sleeves were bent. Hey, so slightly off topic. Do you guys remember Peaches? We got new ones at the beginning of every year, and before even halfway through, they would fall apart. Well, anyway, I loved how you could color on the front of them, make it your own because it had all of the almost like a coloring book effect on the outside because they were that kind of orangish butterscotch color, and then it was just the black outline of sports and dance and things on the outside, so you could color it all in. Anyway, I don't know. It was just a fun memory. I was just thinking about that, talking about book sleeves. Do you guys have a memory from school? It was always so exciting that first day, wasn't it? And I'm so happy I have good math skills because I'd say I'd use them every single day of my life as a crafter and a baker and a homemaker. So don't let them fool you. You do use math often in your life. Now I'm going through and cutting out 2 pieces of batting for each book sleeve. I'll be laying out the fabrics and just cutting around them. That's the fastest way. These don't have to be as precise because when you're quilting, the batting will shrink up a little bit and you want to cut it slightly larger, just a little bit, around each piece. And so it's not imperative. I like cutting these because it goes so fast. So I'm going to lay out all the fabrics and then cut them out, and we shall move on to the next step. And here's our bread. Isn't it gorgeous? And it tastes really good. You guys have to try that recipe. I'll link her website below. Ina Garten is always the best. Once I had the body of the book sleeves cut out, I had a hard time figuring out what color the pockets should be. I didn't want the outside to be all floral or all plaid, but I knew matching the plaids was going to be an issue. I really did my best because I love it when they match up. It just looks so nice. You know, when you buy a shirt or something that's a plaid and it's just off on the front and it drives you crazy because they could have matched it up and made it look really nice. So I'm doing my best here to match the pocket up, but I end up using a floral fabric on the outside of that one because I thought it was just too much plaid. I used the floral that I was going to use on the inside, and I think it looks a lot better. But I go ahead and go through each fabric and I decide if I'm going to leave it all plaid or a mixture. And I think that really helps make this a unique collection, and each of the sleeves is going to be very unique. I'm starting with the pocket edge of each of these book sleeves. I folded down about 1 inch and then turned under the raw edge, and it became about between 3/8 and 1/2 inch, and then I'm top sewing at 3/8 of an inch. It really gives it a nice finish. You don't have any raw edges on the inside that would start fraying, so you want to make sure you fold it under 2 times is basically what you're doing. And now with the quilting, you have to decide what kind of pattern you want to quilt on here. And I like to follow the actual design if there's a plaid. So I'm choosing to go every 2 lines. But then I'm deciding, should I start in the middle? Because that will give me a nice even look when I sew it together. And also when you place your label on, it looks centered. So you have to think ahead to those things. And I'm deciding, well, first I need to change to my walking foot. It creates such a nicer finish. You don't have the pushed forward top fabric and the bottom fabric being pulled under, so they're not being going under the foot evenly. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as I started quilting the second piece, I started having a lot of problems. For some reason, it would just jam up under the foot and the stitching would get really tight, and I was trying to figure out what is causing this. I looked at the thread tension, I rethreaded it, I rethreaded the bobbin, I cleaned it out, I changed the needle, couldn't figure out what was going on. So I took apart my walking foot. Apparently I'm naive and I didn't know I needed to oil the moving parts on the walking foot. So I went and found a video or two and it helped me take it apart, which is really scary because you never know if it's just going to spring apart and come back together. Well, not come back together. But I found out this little arm that moves the foot up and down was absolutely jammed. It was locked up. It wouldn't even budge with my finger until I forced it to. You can see it just snaps every time I try to move it. And so I ended up flooding it with oil. I still couldn't get it to move until I flipped it over and showed my husband what was on the other side. There's a little tiny clamp, sort of a, I don't know what those are called, but it's a little ring. It's like a clamp pin, but it's round. And we ended up having to pop that off the other side so we could take this apart and clean in between that little joint that I just couldn't get the oil into. And voila, it fixed my walking foot. I was so afraid that I had broken something inside and I'd have to go buy one and that would put my project off for another week. Yeah, I was so glad I could fix this. And I think this is just about the best thing there is about YouTube. All the videos that can help you go through and fix a problem. What a lifesaver.
So here is my outer book sleeve. And this one I'm adding a pocket because I did have the fabric for it. First I'm going to stitch these together, going around the tops. Going all the way around the outside with them together facing sandwiched. Do the same with the lining, but leave an opening on the side. Because I hate it when there's an opening on the bottom. You always see it. I'd rather have it on the side. But with this, like I said, I like to make things that are just a little bit different than everybody else's. So what I'm going to do is add sew-in magnets. I couldn't believe when I found these on Amazon. You can stitch around the edging, you can trim them down if you need to, as long as they're sewn in place. They are strong, but not too strong to pull apart, especially if there's fabric between them. They're just right. They're not too tight. They're made for bags when you're sewing a bag, so they just come right apart really easy. I'm barely pulling on it, but also it's firm. So if you're just pulling it away from itself, it's just so easy. But I thought that would be the coolest thing inside of these bags. So what I'll do is I'll sew them to the inside of the lining, facing the right direction. Make sure you do. You can see it by this little lip. Let me see if I can get it close enough. There's a little lip right around the edge of the magnet right there. And that's the one you have to have facing the other magnet. So they have to face each other. And the outside of these is sort of a copper color, just slightly different. And so you can tell they don't stick together this way as easily. They pull apart. But if you put them facing each other with the frame sort of around each one of them, then they stick together very firmly. You just got to make sure you have it the right direction so you get the full use of the magnet. And of course, the other reason I'm not leaving the opening at the top or the bottom is because I'm going to be sewing this into place across the top and then sewing it to the top of the regular fabric when I flip it inside out. And then I can trim it right along there, just a little bit of it. And what will happen is when I flip it inside out, I'm going to stitch across in a wide stitching around there. So I'm going to go around the top edge, top stitching, and then I'm going to go around underneath the magnet, and that will hold it in place. And it will look nice on the outside because you have a nice wide top stitching, which gives it kind of a cool look. So I'll find the center of each fabric. I probably could mark this with the erasable pen. I'll go ahead and find the centers, and then I can sew the top of the magnet in place. So now I think about it, I'm going to have to move that down 1/4 inch because I'm going to have a 1/4 inch seam, and then from the top side I'm going to have a 1/4 inch top stitching. So it should look something like that. So when you go to sew this, your magnet's going to stick magnetically to your sewing plate, and you can't sew. So the best thing to, I guess, demagnetize it, but just to render it neutral, is to use another magnet. And look at this cute thing. This has been on my refrigerator probably for 15, 16 years. I think my son made it for me in 3rd grade, something like that, but it's so cute. Just a little skeleton. But I'm going to put that on the back of the magnet. It's going to hold it in place and then keep it from sticking to the footbed on your sewing machine. So now I can remove the clip and get that out of the way. And I'm just going to go slowly and stitch around the magnet. I keep it as straight as possible. I'll have to move the little guy out of the way underneath. Just slide him over to the side and keep going. Is it a little fiddly? Yes. Is it worth it? 100% yes. I love the way these look.
And there will be nothing in your way when you go to close the top of your book sleeve. I've seen some with the ties on the top or with a snap on the inside. The rubber band on the outside is nice where you have a elastic that attaches to a button. But when you go to put these in your backpack or your bag, that button is going to catch on something, or that bow is going to be big and be hard to carry along in your bag. But I can admit they're just really cute, so I like the bow, but these are so practical.
So here is the magnet sewn in place. And you won't really notice it from the other side. I have some dust on here that I need to get off. And I'll clip away the threads. As you can kind of see through, there's the magnet. But once you add a layer of fabric in between the two pieces, it is not as hard to pull apart as when they're just bare. But also it's very strong, like you can turn your book over and it will not fall out inside that book pouch. So now I'm going to do the next one.
I just add a few clips around the outer edge to hold the pocket in place while I'm stitching. I made sure to check and see if my plaids are lined up when I make each of these. I think this first one I probably didn't do as good a job as I was hoping, but the pocket is definitely lined up evenly. So that looks really good from the front side. And then I will stitch around, leaving the top open. I will stitch around the lining, leaving a hole in the side, and then we're going to attach the two together. Because I only had a small amount of fabric to work with, I had only a 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew around these book sleeves, which made it difficult, but I was able to do it. Next time I would definitely have a wider seam allowance to make it easier.
It's so cute. I love it. I'm going to give it a nice press, but look how nice that is with a big pocket in the front for your pens or your cell phone, or maybe you have Post-its that you like to use to keep notes on. It's just really cute. And now I'm going to stitch around the lining, leaving an opening on the side seam. And I have those magnets clipped together and they're perfectly aligned. So that's really nice. I don't have to worry about that part. And I forgot to leave the opening after all. So I'm going to take out a few stitches right here.
I'm going to slide the lining right sides together onto the outer fabric. You can see the hole in the side where we're going to end up turning. I've got the top edge lined up as best I can, and I'm going to clip it in place. You can see I have the magnet down low enough it won't be in the way of the seam allowance, which is about a 1/4 inch. That way, when I flip it around, I can do a 1/4 inch top stitching and still miss the magnet as well. These magnets come in circles, they come in longer bars, rectangles. They have all different sizes and I think strengths on how, magnetized they are. So I stitch completely around the top, trying to keep the side seams open because it keeps them flatter when you flip it inside out. Then I'm going to clip off the corners. Oh, I forgot to show you. When I was sewing around the corners, I did a 1-stitch diagonal across the corner. It just makes for a better turn when you make points at your corners when you're flipping it inside out. So you do 1 stitch across and you continue across on your seam. So when you flip it inside out, I'm going to use a plastic utensil, which is a knitting needle my daughter had when she was a little girl, and use that to push the points out. And I started doing that because I used to use my scissors, just like they tell you not to do. And guess what happens to your corners when you accidentally poke too hard? Yes, you can damage the corners when you push them through. So I'm going to go ahead and pull tight across the seam here, and when you like hold both ends of it right where it's folding in, it will fold in naturally, and you're going to go right along the edge, really close stitching, and you won't even see that when you go to put your book in your book sleeve.
This is what I mean about getting so close to the edge. It turns out perfect. Let me give it a press, and I'm going to press it to the inside here along the top. Finger roll the top into place, and top stitch along 1/4 inch down from the top, and then just beyond the magnet at the bottom. So before we get to the finished product, I wanted to say thank you guys so much. You're not going to believe what happened, but in just 4 videos, I hit over 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours that are required by YouTube to become monetized. I can't believe it. You guys are awesome. And I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate it. It's just been really fun to create these videos, and it's a lot of work. It really is. I'm learning a lot of new tricks on how to edit videos. I do them all myself, and I do all the sewing projects, but my husband's going to be in the videos soon. We're going to have different Glowforge projects to show you, and the ways that we're going to sell them at our market. So I can't wait to show you that, but I wanted to let you know the good news and tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's finish the project.
So I did end up going a little bit less than 1/4 inch to finish the top edge of this. I wanted to make sure I missed the magnet on the top, but that it had a really pretty finish. But you can see I'm using my favorite foot again. This is number 10. The finish is just so good. You just right along the edge, and a lot of you are really good at eyeballing or following the seam, the plate with the guide on it, but this just makes it so easy for me that I can just do it by just pressing the fabric up against the center bar that keeps it in place, and it looks so pretty when it's done. And then I'm going to switch to my regular foot, and actually I think I switched to my zipper foot because I want to make sure I get close to the magnet, but not so close that I'm going to push away from it with the edge of the foot, you know, and it'll make the stitching look crooked. So I'm going to finish this edge, switch to the foot, to my zipper foot, and then stitch about 1 inch down. So this is one of my medium-sized book covers or book sleeves. It's a little bit larger than one of the small paperbacks that you usually get. And there's still a lot of room in there for a thicker book. It also can fit a very thick book if you don't want to snap closed the top. You can hear that little snap. So because I've been a fashion seamstress for my whole life,
I have a lot of bobbins in all the different colors. So this is going to work out for me for quilting all these different colors, because usually I just sew, most of the colors I've been doing are, you know, bright colors in pinks and blues, but the lighter colors I've been able to use white to quilt everything. But because I have all these warmer colors, I'm going to have to choose, well, I can choose from all these bobbins that I have and the colors that I have that go with them. So I'm going to be doing that for each of these to make sure I match the color to the fabric that I have. Gives it a much more professional look.
Here's a little sneak peek of one of my laptop sleeves. I'll be showing you the little secret I have for these in my next video. But for now, enjoy all the colors of fall, available at Cedar Studios now on our Etsy shop. Thank you all for watching. I hope you consider subscribing and give us a like. Help us grow our channel. Share this with someone you love, and I hope you learned something new today. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day.